to this bill.
Lotu-Iiga.
Mr Speaker, during the 2011 election campaign, I was doing human hoardings in Panmure at Panmure Roundabout, and a woman approached me, sir. She approached me to come to her house, which I did that afternoon. And there, sir, I saw a young woman who was 18, heavily pregnant, who was living in the garage of this elderly woman's home with her 2-year-old. Her 2-year-old who was half-clothed, dishevelled, and had a heart condition. And she was due in hospital that next day to have her second child at 18. Sir, it is these people that this bill and our government aim to and hope to help, sir. It is this situation which we need to house people who are in the greatest need. Now, thankfully, a week later when she came out, because we worked with Housing New Zealand to put her in a 2-bedroom apartment for those 2 children. And yet the week before, sir, a street around the corner, I was at a place where a woman was living in a 3-bedroom home. She'd been there for over 40 years. Her husband had passed away and the kids had left that home. These 2 situations, sir, are the reason we need reviewable tenancies in this country. They are the reason we need to match the greatest need with the assets, that $16 billion in assets that the Minister has talked about, sir. And Labor oppose it. Labor oppose putting those people who are in the greatest need into homes. And this isn't about ideology, this isn't about productivity commissions, these are about real people in my electorate of Maunga-Kea that I want to help. And I'm sure members all around this chamber have cases where they've seen people who are not being housed properly, whereas others are definitely in conditions in homes which they don't need 3 bedrooms. So, sir, I support this Minister because he's hard-working, he's honest and diligent, and he's brought a piece of legislation, sir, that will help New Zealanders who are most vulnerable. And that's what this bill does, sir. So for members opposite to even claim that this is about kicking out disabled and elderly people, no, it's about reviewing their tenancies and making considered and informed decisions as to who in New Zealand has the highest needs, sir. And in my view, sir, member opposite asked where are they going to go. Well, there were 1-bedroom apartments down the road which could quite easily house that elderly woman who'd lived in a Housing New Zealand home for over 40 years. So they don't like the truth, sir. They don't like the fact that this bill will actually help people. Sir, it's about the housing those with the highest needs. Sir, this bill also, sir, works closely with the community housing sector in order to provide for those in need. Now, we know that the community housing sector does a far better job than Housing New Zealand to work with the needs of disabled, to work with the needs of the mentally ill, and have the wraparound services, and that's why we're committing, with the Minister, $27 million. $27 million more than members opposite ever did in 9 years. 9 years of overseeing the Treasury benches. So, sir, I say that that measure also has a positive impact on those families most in need. And finally, sir, I want to say the third part of this bill that makes a real difference is about transferring the services around housing to the Ministry of Social Development. And they're better placed to make those assessments. They're better placed because they deal with these people that have these high needs on a daily basis. And that's why the transfer of these services makes sense. It makes logical sense. And again, the Minister has laid out a very compelling case as to why the Ministry of Social Development can do that better than Housing New Zealand. Sir, I sum up by saying this bill is about helping New Zealanders. It's not about ideologies. It's not about making personal, nasty attacks on members and their children in this House. It is about housing New Zealanders and it's about doing the best for those most in need, and particularly those vulnerable children. Thank you, Sir.
Oh, Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's my pleasure to speak to the third reading of the Social Housing